Hey guys, MuJK here. I'm gonna do a really quick banner review for the upcoming Dark Fina banner. I've already done it twice and my program keeps crashing for some reason. So I'm not gonna go into like super detail. Hope you guys don't mind. I'm just gonna try to get through this really quickly. So overall, should you pull on this banner? I think it's a pretty good banner overall, especially if you need a healer, but I don't think that Darkfina is necessarily worth chasing really hard. She is the best mage in the game, and she's gonna stay that way pretty much. But at this point of the game, mages don't make enough of a difference to chase a base 5 star and spend all that lapis and summon tickets. There are gonna be trials in the future like Orthros or whatever that need good mages, but honestly, if you have like, a couple of X deaths or something like that, I can't see that she would be such a night and day huge difference that you'll be like, you know, wanting to chase her. But that's just my opinion. Let's just quickly go through the units here. Now, Luca is a really good healer. She's going to be the second best healer in global at this point. Her Trust Master reward gives you 20%. Uh, what is it? 25% spirit and MP, and then also 20% magic resistance to water attacks, which is really nice, but kind of situational as well. If you put that on a healer, it's going to be really good, but it's not a must have. Her stats are pretty good, 3200 HP, really high spirit, 149. Can equip your typical stuff. Now, one thing that sets her apart from Refia or other healers is that she has AoE regen, which is nice to do on off turns when you don't need immediate healing. You stack some regen on, you throw some regen on your party, and then on subsequent turns when you really do need a heal, you'll throw on your heal, and then the regen will kick in as well. So you're kind of getting that extra layer of healing, which is nice. She does have auto regen. Priestess Miracle, you'll be familiar with something like this from Tillith, which is a Curaja level AoE heal, but also cures all these status ailments like a AoE Asuna, basically. So that's really nice. The downsides to that is that it's 25 MP instead of 15 for Curaja. And also, you can't dual cast this because it's a special ability. It's not considered magic. So that is one downside as well. Again, sky high spirit here. Increased water resistance, 70% with water barrier. Really good. I think that's rare in this game. I think Sirius can't even do that. And this is basically on par with a Bar Aga spell. Really good against water bosses and things like that. I'm not sure what's coming up in the future that would need that, but if we do come up against a water boss, this would be, this would trivialize the fight almost. Deep Blue increased defense and spirit by 45% for 5 turns. This is like an emboldened level boost. Really nice defensively, but you will need to have somebody to complement that with like an attack boost or a magic boost, depending on your party composition. Noctis has attack magic boosts. So do other units like Demon Rain, Mercedes. So there are ways to cover that offensive side of the boost, but kind of standalone, you won't be able to cover everything that you need with just your healer Luca. Um, and then she has your typical magic, Kiraga, Cleanse, and Stono. These two things basically cover the status ailments that her um, Priestess Miracle don't cover. And then she has Raise, which is nice to have, but not as nice as Full Raise for Refia. And that's one of the main reasons why Refia is better, because she has Full Raise and she can dual cast Kiraja as well. So those are some of the differentiators. But overall, very good healer. As you can see from her toolkit, her limit burst is an AoE heal and increases spirit, but the spirit's not going to stack with Deep Blue, so not a big deal. But it's a free AoE heal, kind of nice to have. Elle, your booby prize, is a soldier slash wannabe tank. His Trustmaster reward is actually the reason why I'm probably going to pull a little bit on this banner. It's 20% HP and defense, I believe, and then what is it like? Let me look it up real quick. Uh, 20% HP, 10% defense, 10% spirit. So this is going to be really good for both tanks and healers. Good TMR, and assuming his drop rates are good, he'll be easy to farm up. So I might get like 3 of him and stop. Um, he is a max 5 star, so there's really not much use for him in the current meta unless you're still kind of stuck at the 5 star level. But I really feel like everybody should be investing in units that go to 6 stars anyway. But anyway, we'll cover what he does. His HP is 2700, which is decent, I guess. His attack is a little above average. His defense is low for what he's trying to do. If he's trying to tank, he should at least have 100 defense, I think. And one of his main drawbacks is that he can't use the Grand Helm and Heavy Armor combo, which is such a huge boost to defense. He can only go up to Light Armor. So that's a really big drawback for him as a tank. He does have good native tanking abilities like Provoke and Draw attacks and Counter. But again, without the equipment that he needs, he's going to be pretty limited there. He doesn't have an HP boost either, so that's another downside to his tanking abilities. He has a way to cure disease, but I don't think that's worth wasting a turn. Aqua Shot, pretty weak, unless you're trying to meet some kind of quest condition, I guess. Defense 20%, attack 20%. This is pretty nice for a 5 star. And then he also can increase that further with another 20% when equipped with a spear. So, a total of 40% attack boost potentially is really good for a 5 star. But again, I mean, he's a 5 star, so there's only so much that he can do with that. Piercing Lance is a weak single target, 2.1, worse than Barrage in every way. And then Guardian Spear, 1.8 AoE. That's pretty nice. It's an upgraded Blade Blitz, what we've come to expect on modern units, I guess. But his single target abilities are pretty poor. Water physical damage with Splash Throw here, 1.9. So this is a better option than Guardian Spear in most cases, especially when they're weak to water. If they're resistant, then you want to stick with the physical, no elements, obviously. Spearmaster, we already discussed that. Pretty good potential for a 5 star. And then you're never going to use his magic. His magic is really low. His Limit Burst is a pretty good single target ability. Physical damage 2.7 with ignore defense 50%. That would be a really good ability to have, but since it's a Limit Burst, it's just kind of like not that exciting. If you have your Limit Burst charged up, obviously you'd want to use it, but it is a Limit Burst. So that's Elle in a nutshell. And Dark Fina is the best mage in the game, even in Japan, I believe. She's rivaled by Transterra, but she pretty much, stays on top of the throne. My problem with that is that mage meta is not really that powerful at this moment. There are going to be times when bosses have really high defense, low spirit, things like that, like Orthros Trial. But for the most part, you want to stick with your physical teams. Her stats are really good. 3472 HP, I believe X Death is like 3100 or so. So that's really high for a mage. Her magic is sky high at 150. She can use your typical gears, and she can also use a whip, which is significant because we're getting a pretty decent whip in the upcoming event, which is like 64 magic. I think the Wizard Rod's still going to be better for you, which is 72, but if you want to inflict status ailments for whatever reason, or if you have multiple mages and you want to have one with the Wizard Rod, one with the whip, that could be really good. One of the reasons why she's the best mage is that in addition to just bringing, pure damage spells, she also has utility. So she can, with Distress, she can inflict random status ailments to all enemies, and this is 100% petrify rate if they're not immune to it. So that is really scary, especially in arena. So I'm gonna probably start looking into accessories and things like that because I don't want to run into constantly Dark Finas petrifying me all the time. It's already a problem with Noctis's flasks and Golem staff. It's gonna be even more of a problem in the future. Auto refresh, that's really nice. MP plus 30%, magic plus 30%, top tier passives there. Physical Fall is a really nice AoE debuff, reduces attack and defense by 40%. This is what we're talking about with like utility as well as just magic, So it's rare to have an AoE debuff on that level right now. I know Noctis has some stuff like that. He can reduce attack and defense actually, but his is single target and it's with Warp Break, which does good damage, but it's not AoE. This does no damage, but it is AoE. She has a counter with a weak magic damage attack, just kind of like a little icing on the cake. Not really that important. She is immune to silence, paralyze, and petrify, which is going to be very important in the arena, especially. Dual cast, dual black magic, I should say, which is a must for any top tier mage. And then she has kind of a rare dark magic AoE ability here, 2.8. There's no ignore spirit, but if you use it consecutively, the damage keeps increasing, which is really nice. Cannot be dual casted though, because it's not black magic, it's a special ability. And then magic wise, she covers a lot of elements. She does not cover fire and ice, so that's one downside to her versus Xeth, for instance. She does have Osmos and Graviga. Graviga is not really that useful these days because a lot of enemies resist it, but Osmos is always useful for a mage to keep up your MP. And then she has Ultima instead of Meteor like Xeth does, because this is the slightly improved version. It's 2.8 instead of 2.5. It is 60 MP instead of 50, so it's not like I'm hating on Meteor right now. They are both good spells, but this is the upgraded version, and this kind of encapsulates really well the Majin Fina or Dark Fina compared to Xdeath. It's like Ultima versus Meteor. Like one is clearly better than the other, but is it gonna change your life? No, probably not. So that's my overall impression of her. And then her limit burst is a really good dark magic AoE ability, 2.7 at base level with ignore spirit 50%. So that's like effectively a 5.4 AoE, really good. So as you can see, she's a really good mage, really solid, has a good toolkit. Um, oh, she is weak to light. That's one downside to her as well. Um, I don't think she's as game changing as a base 5 star that should be if you're gonna chase her, but um, yeah, she is gonna be the best mage. And when certain content comes out, mages will be that important. But for the most part, we're still kind of like in a physical meta world, so it is what it is. Chase her if you want, but it's not gonna be an effective, efficient use for free to play players. I forgot to mention her Trust Mastery reward, which is good for mages. It increases magic by 30% when equipped with a rod and 20% when equipped with a robe. So, effectively, if you're wearing both of those, this would be a reason why you wouldn't put on a whip, by the way. So, that's one thing to know. But if you had a rod and a robe on, that's 50%. So, that's like the magic equivalent of like a blade mastery. Really good TMR. Unfortunately, it is a base 5 star unit, so you're not going to be able to farm that up easily, but really good for mages. So, overall, it's a good banner. If you need some of this, especially if you need a healer, don't have Refia, then Luca is going to be really good for you to pull. Dark Fina would make anybody happy, but is not necessarily worth a huge investment. So pull if you need Luca. Pull if you want Elle's TM. Um, if you really want to chase Dark Fina, I would suggest that you be ready to whale. Not good for free to play players at all, but overall, pretty decent banner. I'm gonna pull just to get L's TMR probably, and then if I get Dark Fina, I'd be happy, but I'm not gonna expect it. I'm not gonna chase after it. So, good luck with your pulls, and hope you enjoyed this banner review.